Very nice. All right, we are ready whenever you are.
Okay, cool, cool. All right. Yeah. Okay. How you guys doing? My name is Deonte Burden. Today we'll be discussing what are taxes. You guys are high school students in Idaho. Just give you a little background information with me. I'm an accountant by profession. I've been in business, self-employed accountant. I've been in business over 23 years. And so if you guys, probably heard your parents talk over the past month or so about, income taxes, preparing taxes. And also you turn on the TV, hear news all the time about different people may have issues with the government as far as taxation, or even hear different people that may be working, being the local politicians or on the state or federal level, speaking in regards to raising or lowering taxes. There's a lot of information, to be known about tax, and I would say the average person isn't really familiar exactly what taxes are outside of, hey, this is something that's probably coming out of my check, or this something added to the cost of the food that I'm paying for at the grocery store, right? So what we're going to be discussing today, what are taxes? And I think at the end of this discussion, you have a very good insight in exactly what taxes are, how they're applicable to you, and also give you a little direction of what you needed to do to help you going forward with your life to give you a better understanding of taxes that can affect you personally and also in the future. Okay. Well, before we get started, just we're starting everything. What are taxes? Taxes, in essence, are a charge that is placed on different items that the government places to generate revenue. Right, when they place this charge on different items, the revenue can be covering uh, different systems in regards to public services, infrastructure, or various government functions. Right, three main ways that taxes are imposed that are there are other ways, but the three main ways are sales tax, income tax, and property tax. Okay, those are three main ways that taxes are imposed. There are other taxes that may come in. I know you guys may have heard about tariffs and things like that, but as far as U.S. citizens, one of the main three ways that we pay taxes are the sales tax, the income tax, and the property tax. And those are the ones we're going to discuss today. Well, the first one being the sales tax. The sales tax is usually imposed at a local level. It's more of a consumption tax. When I say the local level, that may be at your local, the city or the county level. You usually don't really have state sales tax. Now, taxes are you have the federal taxes, and the states are separate. But for the most part, most counties and local governments kind of function similar, right? But with the sales tax, that's usually something that's imposed at the local and state level, with the more so the local level being the city and the county. And those are used to fund local operations. It's usually charged at a percentage. And I know you guys probably heard state sales tax or city sales tax maybe 1, 2, or 3%. That's usually charged as a percentage. And most of the time, it's funding local government, local operations that are there. Well, what I mean by that, it may be your local police department. It may be certain infrastructure things in regards to certain roads in the community that may be widened or new roads need to come up. That's what typically what the sales tax takes care of. Things on the local level, right? It's viewed as what we call a regressive tax. What do we mean by regressive tax? By being a regressive tax, that it affects people at a lower income more because you're paying a certain percentage of your money towards an item, and it affects you more than if you were, probably a little bit more comfortable, right? So those are the things you look at with a sales tax. Usually, the sales taxes, you have your local politicians that will, determine when they're setting the budget. So we'll get into that, big picture wise, how we can view taxes. Um, how those are devised. Usually, they have the annual budgets or the annual budget meetings where they'll decide these are the things we want to make each year, and for us to pay for, we're going to have to charge this, and that's where usually where the sales tax amount is drafted from, because they've made that budget, they've determined the things that they need to keep the government flowing at the local level, and they find a ballpark way when they kind of calculate in regards to that actual amount of citizens that are there, and impose that percentage amount to kind of forecast how much money they'll be able to make and how much they'll need to cover the cost to run the local government. Okay, and that's sales tax. The next one is your income tax. And your income tax is a tax that's based on the amount of money that you make, right? And typically, if you have a job or if you have hurt your parents, they had to pay a certain amount in taxes. They may be bothered, unbothered, either one. And this is the one that you see a lot of. You probably seen a lot of adults. I don't know if you guys are working age and not have to file taxes with the IRS, but this is a percentage that's based on the actual income that you make. Income taxes typically fund the amount of government programs, social programs, usually at the state or the federal level. Okay, so when you see different programs like maybe um, Social Security, the federal government, the military, federal highways, things like that. A lot of these social, I'm thinking of trying to recall some of them off the top of my head, but um, CDC, FDIC, the Social Security program, even the IRS. All these are funded off your income taxes. Even at the state level, the same things. Though the income taxes typically pays for your government programs and services. Okay, so this is more viewed as more of a progressive tax. And what I mean by progressive tax, it impacts people usually at a higher income level. So theoretically, the regressive tax, which is the sales tax, may impact people at a lower income a little bit more. The income tax impacts people because it's viewed as a progressive tax. It impacts people at a higher income level more, and it's viewed, and it's, I don't necessarily say it's a right or wrong way. It's used more so to view to kind of help redistribute wealth in the economy. Some people have different views on it, but that's a whole different conversation. We're just gonna talk about exactly what it is and how it works. Okay, but that is how the federal government imposes, federal government and state government usually impose their taxes with income tax. Okay, the third tax is your property taxes, and your property tax is a tax that's imposed on anything that you may own, being buildings, homes. That's levied to get actual revenue for same thing. Local governments, local entities. I mean, mostly based in the city or county level, right? Most of your property taxes is used to pay for your school systems, police departments, fire departments, and they're based on that. So the correlation that you may look at it, sometimes if you have higher property tax or higher property values, you typically can kind of see um, more amenities being able to be distributed to that particular area that because they actually have been able to because the property taxes are higher, they charge more, and they use able to distribute more out to the actual citizens in that community. So it's supposed to go. But that's typically how that is done. That's why there, if you haven't noticed, and I don't know if you guys ever thought about it or heard the conversations, that's why people kind of want to have their property values as high as possible, not just because they can sell their home or sell their property for a higher value than what they pay for it, is because when you have that, the actual local government can charge more and be able to provide more amenities. You can put more money into your school system, and being when we're putting more into your school system that provide more resources to the students, pay teachers higher wages, a lot of different things that come there. You can be able to put new vehicles and new buildings for your police department, new equipment, things like that. All that's attributed to those actual property taxes. Okay, so those are the main three taxes. That being the sales tax, the income tax, and the property taxes, right? And again, what's rooted with most of them is, well, with all of them, usually at the beginning um, of actual fiscal year. And a fiscal year is just whenever the actual government wants to start. They can be based off a calendar year, or it can be based off fiscal year. Usually, from a government standpoint, most of them start in corporations. They'll have a fiscal year starting October 1st of each year. Excuse me, and they'll before maybe months prior to that, they'll plan a budget in regards to all the actual services that they want to provide, the different amenities that they want to do. They have the things that are necessities for each sector. And again, we're talking about different levels, being from the local, the state, federal level. They'll look at all the different necessities that they need. Then they may look at certain things they want to provide, and they look at some things that they can't provide. And then from that point, they'll look at the cost of it, and then they'll try to look at it in regards to, okay, these are the actual percentages that we're charging for the sales tax, the income tax, and the property tax for the forecast amount of people that are working. Can we be able to get that amount? If they're fine, they may keep things the same. If they feel like those numbers may be lower, they may have to increase it or decrease it, respectively, depending on the amount of people that they feel like they can have contribute to it. Or, like we said, even with the property taxes, how the values may increase or not. So that's typically how that's done. Okay. Um, with that said, I would advise all you guys being high school students to make a conscious effort, just with a couple things. Understanding exactly number one, what's your local sales tax rate, what the local sales tax rate is. Um, that make them, and I don't know with you guys if it's done at the city or county level. I'm here in Georgia. We have most at the city level. Yes, some things that are charged at the county level with doing that. I'll find out exactly what that is, and also going back to what we said before, get an idea of the budget for your local government, state and federal, so you can be aware of how actually those funds are distributed. I think far too often people are unaware of how funds are distributed, and it may impact you in a way directly, and it may not. But I think just the awareness of knowing, okay, these are providing certain programs and services to certain people. You may have a different perspective on it, because a lot of times we hear a lot of things that are put in the news. People say, "Hey, we're getting taxed too much. We're paying too much for this. We're paying too much for that. We don't need it." And some of it may be genuine, some of it may be true. But for the most part, I think that's when people can be proactive, proud their politicians. And you guys are in a great position right now because you haven't hit the quote unquote real world yet. So you can pack yourself with all the information to understand how things work. So that's when you can just talk to your local politicians and say, "Hey, we really need these services, whatever." And they may say yes, and this is the reason why. But I think the most important thing is to understand uh, what the budget is designed for and the cost and how it's going to be applied. When you take yourself out from being reactive in regards to once it's laid out and you hear it and then you get bothered, like, this is too much of my check. I can't believe I'm paying this much in property taxes. What are we doing this for? How is this stuff used? If you're on the front end, because the stuff has to be decided months prior to, and sometimes maybe a year prior to the um, the budget being executed. But I think if you can equip yourself to find out actually how things work how things are applied, how things are executed, it puts you in a lot better situation with knowing how things are. Um, but definitely understand how those budgets are applied in regards to that. Let me see. I had one of my notes here. Yeah, and going back to just knowing, getting an idea for your local county, the local being the city, the county, the state, and at the federal level, how those budgets are drafted and how those taxes are applied. That's probably the best advice I can give you guys for doing that. With that said, I want to open up the floor and see if you guys got any questions. Not all at once.
I have a question. Is the information about like what's in the budget typically public?
Yeah,
We went looking for it.
great questions. All public information.
Okay.
It's all public information. And here's the deal. What I would advise you guys to do now, and like I said, I know every state municipality is different around the country. Uh, Typically, because um, your politicians are actual, it's all public information. You can actually go to some of your local city hall and county meetings, and the actual minutes and information they discuss is public information as well. So prior to those budgets are drafted, they can let you know the dates that are going to be drafted. You can actually have conversations with your local politician to find out, hey, what are you guys proposing? What are your thoughts on how things should be allocated? And you find out then how that will be directly impacting you, if it is or not. And that's at every level. That's at every level. You can Google right now U.S. budget, and you can see how the federal government budget and see how those funds are allocated. Because that's the gist of it. It's all public information. I'm glad you asked that. When you look at the actual tax tables, they just adjusted the tax tables again for 2023. You can actually look at that amount for each income amount, how much money you're actually going to be taxed uh, with that, and then from that point, you just see, okay, this is what this is funded. Any other, none of you guys got any questions? I will say this to you guys. I have a YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, where we talk about personal finance, entrepreneurship, and investing. So we have over. I had the YouTube channel about 7 years. We got over 900 videos on the YouTube channel. So it's a lot of information. Not just, I know taxes is a very exciting hot topic to talk about, but also we talk about entrepreneurship and investing, things like that. That might be probably a little bit more exciting to you guys. I don't know if you guys are young guys. I have four sons also. Some of you guys may do trading and different investments, entrepreneur. We got a lot of information on how to break that information down as well. But I will say this to you guys. What grade are you guys in?
Mainly sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So we know in the next 2 to 3 years it's going to be all the way live. You're going to be out there in the working force, and all this stuff is going to be applied to you. I would advise you, even though it's not probably the most exciting subject right now, try to equip yourself to find out what's going on. Because what I don't want you guys to do is be put in a 40-hour work week, and you feel good about the money you're supposed to make, and you feel like you're supposed to get a check for $3,000, and you end up getting a check for $1,800 because they took out taxes, because they took out insurance, and they took out other things, and you're wondering like what in the world is going on, and you're bitter about it. And now you're in a position, now you got to try to get back and try to figure out what is this and what is that, what is that. I think if you spend a little time trying to, just understanding exactly how those what is being charged, how it's being allocated, you might not like it, but you'll understand it a whole lot better, as opposed to, once you get into the thick of it, and now majority of your check is going, or half of your check is going to some things you have no idea what it's going for. Okay. And I will tell you this. I would say the vast majority of Americans, I've been in this business over 23 years. The vast majority of Americans probably don't have a good insight exactly what the actual taxes are being applied to. And I think once you start equipping yourself with the information, you might be more appreciative, or you might be more mad, but at least you know. At least you know. That's the most important thing. And I talk to high school kids all the time. You want to make sure you equip yourself with as much information as possible. You don't want to be reactive, okay? Because when we're reactive, We got to make reactive moves. We got to fix this. We got to adjust that. You might have to, now we have to give another part-time job to supplement the money that we made, well, that we didn't were able to bring home because we got taxed or other fees came in. Try to find out as much information now, and again, spread it out, spread it out. All the information I'm telling you guys again, and most of it, for the most part, is going to be public information. Even those meetings when they're actually going to draft those budgets. And keep in mind, guys, the little when you walk out of your door, the lights outside of your home, the police officers, the street lights, fire department, hospitals, all that stuff is funded through taxes. All of that is funded through taxes. Pretty much anything to help you from a public service standpoint, to help you survive and keep order in society, is paid through with your taxes. Okay, so you got the key thing I think is just to understand what taxes pay for it and how it applies to you. Okay, guys, got no other questions? You don't think so? What class is this?
So we are a mastery-based school, so we have, like, we're doing all the subjects in this one room, but this is, our life skills, and so students brought forth questions like, that they don't feel like they typically get answered in high school, and one of them are taxes, so.
Gotcha. Well, since you got me on the line, do you guys got any other questions outside of taxes from a financial standpoint, entrepreneurial standpoint? None whatsoever.
Quiet bunch.
Quiet bunch. Nothing wrong with that. I will say again, you can go to the YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar. Again, it's Mr. Short Dollar on YouTube. We got over 900 videos on the YouTube channel. A lot of great information, and everything's segregated on the playlist from um, finances, entrepreneurship, investing. So even other speeches that I've done. So I would say feel free to go to the YouTube channel and take advantage of all the information that's there as well.
How much money can you take from a paycheck?
Well, again, that goes back. Good question. Yes, how much money can they take from a paycheck? At the end of the day, it's still based off that percentage. Now, keep in mind, most governments will have a cap. Like we can't charge more than 20 or 30, 40, 50. They have a cap usually the most that they can actually withdraw from a person. But remember, it's based off that percentage. That's why it's so important to understand what percentage would apply. Here in Georgia, we have the sales tax. I think sales tax here is like 7%, 5% for the state, and then a county may add on another 2 or 3%. From an income tax standpoint, that being off your check, you have to pay your Social Security, you have to pay your Medicare, then you got your federal tax on top of it, right? And that number may vary. That percentage may vary depending on how much money you made. Okay, and then if you didn't know, I don't know if your parents have walked you through it. Typically, the way the income tax filing works, everybody has to pay income tax that earns wages, right? In general, right? Sometimes if you may be in a certain industry, say churches, things like that, they don't have to. They're nonprofits, they don't have to. They still should report the actual money that they make. But in essence, people that are earning wages out here, they're supposed to pay income taxes, right? What the government does, they don't know in regards to the actual children or different deductions that you may have. So what they separate things in regards to how you should file. Being a single, and that's just you by yourself, called head of household. That means you have a dependent. That could be you got a child, you can have a parent, a niece, or nephew, and then you have married filing jointly. That means you're filing with you and a spouse, and married filing separately. And that would be you may be married, but you're not filing with your spouse, but you're going to be taxed at the single level. Now, the single is taxed the most, then head of household, and then married filing joint. So that's how that goes. What happens is for each way you're filing, single, head of household, or married filing jointly, there's a different tax amount percentage that is applied to the actual dollar amount that you make. So what they'll say, if you're single and you make $50,000, the government may say, hey, if you make $50,000 and you're single, you need to pay $10,000 in tax. Typically, when you get a job will have you fill out what's called a W-4. That's a withholding form. And you'll put in information on how you want to get taxed. And when you work your job may will take those taxes out of your check. When you file your taxes at the end of the year, say report to the IRS how much money you made, you're going to say I made 50,000, but you only paid 8,000 in taxes. That would be a situation where the IRS will say you owe us $2,000. But if you actually made 50,000 and you paid 12,000 in taxes, the IRS will give you a refund for the $2,000 overage. So that's typically how taxes work, And what'll happen is in between, the government will allow you what they call a standard deduction for each one of those filing segments, single head of household or married filing jointly. They'll give you what's called a standard deduction. If your deductions, that being mortgage interest, property taxes, certain medical expenses, if that number is higher than that standard deduction, they'll allow you to itemize. You also, the government will give you credits if you have children, if you pay daycare, if you had different things you may have, added to your home from an energy saving standpoint. There are different credits that they would give you. A credit would be something, that it would give you back. A deduction is something that would lower, but and I don't want to get too far off subject with everything, but typically they'll give you opportunity to get certain credits back because they don't know that, and that's what will happen with the filing. So to answer your question, how much could they take back? Could they take in a check? It's just based off that percentage for the actual amount you make and how you set up that withholding form. But most of the time they'll have, especially local level, they'll have a cap on the actual amount that they can take out. Did I answer your question? Okay. And you got any other questions? Okay, well, listen, it was a pleasure speaking with you guys again. I would encourage you to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and just take advantage of the information there. And if you see any one of the videos that you may have a question on, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section of each video. Also, I can give you guys the website to my business. It's Majestic Business Services. That's www.majesticbiz.com. We're full service accounting firm. We've been in business 23 years, over 23 years. Pretty much a one-stop shop, small businesses where we do bookkeeping, tax prep, and payroll. So definitely, go by there and check everything out as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity of speaking with you guys. You guys take care. And like I said again, if you have any questions, feel free to go to the YouTube channel, reach out. Even on each video, we got a contact information to here at the office. So you guys take care. Best of luck and enjoy your school year. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care. Okay. Hey guys, I was just streaming live, talking to some high school students in the state of Idaho. Let me look in my chat, see if I had anybody ask any questions. I'm sorry about that. I had to take care of the kids first. Girl Face DNA asks, is it the same when you have Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a little different for the simple fact when you look at virtual taxation on that income. I would advise you to go to my YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar. I did a video, excuse me, in regard to actual uh, virtual currency and how it's reported and how it's taxed. Definitely go to the YouTube channel and check out that information. It's a little bit more lot more complicated than what's reported actually income and things like that. Definitely go there and check that out. Again, I was just talking to some high school, I had a virtual speech from the high school kids in the state of Idaho, talking about what are taxes. So we just went through the actual three main tax groups, taxes that most U.S. citizens incur, that being sales tax, property taxes, and the income taxes. So I've talked about that before on the YouTube channel, but I had talked to the students in regards to that information. But I'm finna get ready to wrap this up. I had a great conversation with them. They were, I guess, a little bit camera shy. They didn't want to ask too many questions and stuff. But hopefully they come back. I look at the video in its entirety, maybe on the YouTube channel, ask more questions. Well, I got the gates open. Anybody got any questions, anything right now? Let's see. See if I see anyone have any questions. I don't see anybody with any questions. Got me on. Okay, cool. You quite well. You quite well. Definitely go by there because again, I'm gonna be very honest with you. There's a lot of, and I appreciate you asking that. There are a lot of videos out there in regards to Bitcoin and even virtual currency. I would advise anybody to make sure you go to a professional when you're trying to report that particular income because that's definitely not somebody I want to deal something I want to deal with. Somebody doing TurboTax or you trying to figure it out yourself. At least that first year, equip yourself with much information. Definitely go to a professional with doing that. Let me see if I think of anything off the top of my head. I released some videos in regards to how to fill out certain tax forms. That means Schedule A, Schedule B, Schedule C, Schedule D, Schedule E. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, Mr. Short Dollar, to check out that information. And I also, damn, it's something off the top of my head. I got coming in for the month of March. But we're gonna wrap that up, guys. Listen, if you got any questions, concerns, you know all the contact information. Go to the YouTube channel and the comment section of each video, the description section of each video. We got all the contact information, number to the office, the email address, and everything there. So feel free to reach out if you got any question, anything like that. Take care of yourself. Best of luck and happy Wednesday to you all. Take care.